Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the inaugural post on my YouTube channel, Being the Marshmallow. Excuse me. My name is Bob Wagner, and he's an alcoholic. Dude, I am not an alcoholic. He doesn't go to meetings. Sorry, that's Pete. He'll be popping in from time to time, making a nuisance of himself. As I was going to say before the interruptions, I have PTSD. If you're watching this, there's a chance you're a friend of mine, and in that case, you probably know way more about PTSD than you ever did before you encountered me. For the benefit of those of you who don't, PTSD stands for post-traumatic stress disorder, and it is a neurological condition which affects roughly 7.8% of the population, which at present population figures comes to about 273,000 Americans. 1 in 12 people. So if you know 12 people, 13 people, give or take, pretty good chance you know somebody who's got this. What PTSD is, for the benefit of you who don't know, is that, or rather the way it works, is that every human being on the planet has what is called a fight or flight mechanism. You, me, your grandma, the mailman, everybody. Flight or fight mechanism is the part of your brain that takes over in dangerous or emergency-related circumstances. It's what keeps you from staying in the house when the house catches fire. It is what causes your hand to lash out and knock a mugger on his butt when he decides that he would like your wallet and needs it more than he thinks you do. That is essentially how the fight or flight mechanism works for everybody. In most people who don't have PTSD, it's an on or off kind of thing. Everything's cool, everything's normal, you're in line at, say, Caribou Coffee or Starbucks, walking the dog, whatever. Your fight or flight instinct is essentially dormant. It comes online when something bad happens and it needs to be active. For a PTSD sufferer like myself, and again, like I said, about 273,000 other people just in America alone, it is always in the on position. And before we get more into that, I want to explain a couple of things. People commonly associate PTSD with combat veterans. For the record, I am not a veteran. I have never served in the military in any capacity, and I will not allow any perception that I may have done so. I'm a lifetime civilian, and I have PTSD as a result of some pretty severe childhood trauma. I'm really not going to get into it at the moment. Possibly never, unless it becomes relevant to this narrative. With a PTSD sufferer, the fight or flight mechanism is always on, okay? 100% of the time, your body is reacting to your environment as if it were in a state of imminent life or death danger, all right? The way this works is you suffer some sort of traumatic experience. Maybe you were in combat, maybe your house caught fire, maybe you were in a car wreck, maybe you got raped, maybe you watched a close friend get murdered. The actress and comedian Whoopi Goldberg is reportedly afflicted with PTSD as a result of watching a couple of passenger planes get into a head-on collision when she was a little girl. Literally anybody can get it. And what happens is your body is always in this constant elevated state of hyper-awareness of your surroundings, and you're always anticipating danger. That doesn't sound very fun, and I can assure you that it isn't. It really sucks. Some common, sorry, a little tickle in my throat there. Like any disease, PTSD has its share of symptoms. And with everything that's in the news these days, you probably are aware of them. Some of the more common ones are what's called hyperarousal. That's not what it means. Get your mind out of the gutter. What that means is you are constantly aware. You are like ultra aware of everything that's going on. Your head is basically on a swivel, okay? Things that for I hate to use this word, but a normal person, not a normal person, someone who doesn't have PTSD, wouldn't even notice, you zero in on. And this goes on 24/7. Sleep disruption, things like insomnia and nightmares are real common. I think the most commonly aware one, the one that's most in the American consciousness, in general pop culture consciousness, is what's called flashbacks or re-experiencings. And I gotta say, Hollywood and the media in general really don't do a realistic portrayal of it, because watching somebody have a flashback in real life, it doesn't make for good drama. It doesn't make for good cinema. I'm going to get more into that, but those are some of the common ones. Also, things like anger issues. Suicide is a really common problem among us. We kill ourselves, according to the VA and some other places that I was able to find stats on. We kill ourselves at the rate of 28 people a day. Okay? 22 vets every day, 6 civilians on average take their own lives as a result of having PTSD, because this is an incredibly hard disease to live with. That comes to one dead person roughly every 54 minutes. So, like, for instance, the big movie out right now is Batman versus Superman. That runs about 2 hours and change. During that time, 2, maybe 3 people take their own lives. From the time you sit down and the credits roll to the very last moment in the film, when you get up, 2 or 3 people with moms and dads and friends have killed themselves. That's just the math. So it is a very serious and very pervasive disease, and it is extremely hard to live with. And I am going to be doing posts. I'm going to try for about 1 a week on this subject. I've had this since I was about 12 years old. I'm currently 44. So going on 32 years old, 32 years now, I've had this, and I've been living with it for a long, long time. Literally more of my life than not, about 3/4 of my life at this point. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's come pretty close to killing me a few times. The thing I want to emphasize in this post is that those of us who have this are not monsters. There is this really unpleasant and very ugly perception, of the mentally ill in society, even now, as being somehow dangerous, or not really being people, or that it's somehow catching. Okay, like if you hang out with us, we're going to sneeze on you and you're going to catch crazy. We're not monsters. We're not demons. We're not bad people. A lot of us have this because we love our fellow human beings and we love our country so much that they went over and they risked their lives and they risked their sanity going through something that human beings simply were really not meant to experience. Okay? I'm a person. I have a beautiful wife who I really don't understand why she's with me, because I'm kind of a mess. I have a dog. Got a gator. Shut up. Dog's in the kennel right now because he's a goofball. But as you can see, I've got a regular life. I've got a wife. I've got hobbies. You can see part of my house over the background there. I'm a person. And if you live in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, there's a pretty good chance you've shared a bus or a line at the movie theaters with me or whatever. And if not me, then I guarantee you, every day you are sharing space with somebody who has PTSD. And we're not bad people, okay? We're human beings. We are people. We have jobs. We have families. We like the same things that you like. The problem is that we experienced something that was so horrible that it literally rewired our brain, okay? It rewrote the neural pathways in our heads so that we are constantly in this elevated state. It's extremely exhausting. It's extremely challenging to live with. And it is, how to put this? It's a trial. If it doesn't kill you because you put a gun in your mouth, and please, if you're thinking about committing suicide, get help. Do not hurt yourself, okay? But it's challenging. It's exhausting. Human beings aren't meant to live in this elevated state of combat alert 24/7, and it takes its toll on you. But the core message that I want to get right now is, because I'm running out of time, is that we are your friends. We are your neighbors. We're your brothers and your sisters and your co-workers. We're the guy who shovels your walk. We're the guy who hands you your coffee. We are the lady teaching your children, okay? We're everywhere. We are your fellow citizens, and we're not the boogeyman. We're human beings with a disease, and over the course of this blog, about once a week, I am going to offer insights into how people on both sides of it, both the afflicted like myself and what I call the neurotypical people who don't have it, can live and cope easier. And one of the advantages to having this messed up condition for so long is that you develop some coping mechanisms, assuming it doesn't knock you out of the game entirely. And so I'm going to be sharing those, and I hope that I will be able to help you, whether you are a person who has PTSD and is going, dude, what do I do? Or if you're like my wife or my many friends who are like, well, you know, I have this person in my life and they have this, but I don't know how to help them. And that is going to be the goal of this blog. And I hope you've enjoyed watching this ramble. And I look forward to seeing you in the future. Thanks for tuning in.